Picture this. The Chicago Sky throws their biggest Barbie night celebration yet, complete with pink decorations and Angel Reese hype. But here's the problem. Angel Reese isn't even playing, and they're about to get absolutely demolished by the Indiana Fever for the third straight time this season. The Fever just walked into the United Center, a special arena the Sky booked only against them, and delivered a 93-78 beatdown that had fans literally renaming it Fever Night. Without Caitlin Clark on the court, Kelsey Mitchell dropped a season-high 35 points and proved this rivalry everyone talks about. It doesn't exist. So what exactly got Caitlin Clark so fired up? The media wants you to believe we're watching the greatest rivalry in women's basketball history. Two sophomores turned superstars, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, battling it out every time their teams meet. ESPN builds it up, social media goes crazy, and everyone acts like we're seeing Magic versus Bird all over again. The story writes itself perfectly. Iowa versus LSU, Indiana versus Chicago, Rookie of the Year race. But it's no rivalry when the actual results on the court show otherwise. Here's what nobody wants to admit when the cameras stop rolling. The actual head-to-head record between these teams tells a completely different story. The Indiana Fever have absolutely demolished the Chicago Sky 6 times in their last 7 meetings. That's not a rivalry. That's a systematic beatdown happening over and over again. Let's talk about this season specifically. The Fever have now beaten Chicago 3 straight times, outscoring them by a ridiculous 77 points across those 3 games. Think about that number for a second. 77 points. That's more than an entire game's worth of scoring spread across just 3 matchups. The first meeting this season, Indiana decimated them by 35. The second, they crushed Chicago by 27 points. And now this latest Barbie night disaster, another 15-point blowout. If this is this is absolutely a one-sided rivalry. And we've got to say it like it is. Like, we can't say Caitlin needs to do this, Caitlin needs to do that. Let's be real, the only reason this is still a rivalry is because the other side of the rivalry won't stop it. And by the way, it is extremely beneficial for Angel Reese to be in this rivalry. The media keeps pushing this narrative because it sells. 2 young stars, different playing styles, contrasting personalities. But when you actually watch these games, when you look at the final scores, when you see how one team consistently outplays the other, the whole rivalry thing falls apart completely. Here's where it gets really embarrassing for Chicago. Even without Caitlin Clark on the court, the Fever still walked into their house and dominated them on their biggest promotional night of the season. The Sky scheduled this special game at the United Center, created this whole Barbie theme around Angel Reese, and got absolutely destroyed by a Fever team missing their best player. This is a fake, one-sided rivalry. We got Angel Reese taking more shots at Caitlin Clark unnecessarily. What does this lopsided record mean going forward? It means one franchise is building something special while the other keeps scheduling more games hoping for different results. The Fever have proven they can beat Chicago with Clark, without Clark, at home, on the road, in regular games, and on special theme nights. This isn't a rivalry between Clark and Reese. This is target practice for Indiana against a Chicago team that keeps giving them opportunities to prove their dominance. The Sky scheduled another United Center game against the Fever, threw another themed party, and got embarrassed again. That's not competitive balance. That's one team repeatedly schooling another while everyone pretends it's close. Kelsey Mitchell walked into the United Center knowing she had to carry the scoring load without Caitlin Clark. The veteran guard has been reliable all season, but what happened next put her name in the Fever record books forever. Mitchell absolutely exploded for a season-high 35 points, shooting an incredible 12 of 19 from the field and nailing 7 3-pointers on 10 attempts. That's 70% from beyond the arc when your team needs you most. Here's where it gets really special. Mitchell didn't just score. She made franchise history in the process. She joined Caitlin Clark as the only players in Indiana Fever history to record 35 or more points, 5 or more assists, and 5 or more made 3-pointers in a single game. Think about that exclusive club. 2 players. Ever. And Mitchell just earned her spot on Barbie night in Chicago. Mitchell's preparation paid off in a big way. She spent the off-season working with a trainer who's also a football coach, focusing on defensive back drills to improve her footwork and lateral movement. Those angles and cuts she practiced, they showed up when she needed to get to her spots against Chicago's defense. Every shot looked smooth. Every movement looked natural. But Mitchell wasn't alone in this masterclass. Michaela Timpson delivered the performance of her young career, dropping 14 points on 6 of 8 shooting from the field. That's 75% efficiency when the lights were brightest. Mitchell praised Timpson after the game, calling her the ultimate pro and highlighting her consistent readiness. Timpson has that quiet confidence that shows up when you need it most. And one of the best rookie captain I've ever come across of. She's, I don't know, I'm not to say, like, the ultimate pro. Shows up, no problems, nothing. You have locker room culture happening. You need great people to make you greater, and I think you got a good addition here. So, shout out to Kaito. The newest Fever player made an immediate impact too. Chloe Bibby signed her 7-day contract on July 25th and scored 8 points in just 10 minutes of action. Coach Stephanie White praised Bibby's ability to stretch the floor and create space for Aaliyah Boston. That's exactly the kind of instant production you hope for from a new signing. Speaking of Boston, she grabbed her 3rd straight double-double with 14 points and 11 rebounds. But her impact went way beyond the box score. 6 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Boston affects every possession on both ends, and Chicago had no answer for her all-around game. Flexi Hole came through with clutch shots when the Sky tried to make runs. Her timing and shot selection kept Chicago from building any momentum, including some tough makes that had the visiting fans going crazy. Coach Stephanie White has been talking all season about having a deep team. She said, having depth means players who deserve minutes might not always get them. But games like this prove why that depth matters so much. The Fever rotation stayed strong for 40 minutes without their best player. This supporting cast just proved something important. The Fever aren't just Caitlin Clark and 4 other players. They're a complete team that can beat anyone on any given night. Even when Clark sits on the bench in street clothes, signing autographs and cheering for her teammates, this team keeps winning games. The Chicago Sky went all out planning their biggest Barbie night celebration of the season. Pink decorations covered the United Center, special merchandise filled the gift shop, and the whole event was built around Angel Reese's Barbie persona. The Sky marketing team scheduled this game specifically at their premium venue, hoping to create a magical night for their fans and give their team a boost against Indiana. But here's where everything went wrong. Angel Reese wasn't even playing due to injury, leaving the Sky without their main attraction on their own themed night. The Fever were about to crash this pink party in the most brutal way possible, and Chicago had no idea what was coming. Social media exploded during the game as fans watched the Sky get demolished on their own special night. Twitter users started calling it Fever Night instead of Barbie Night. Memes flooded Instagram showing empty pink seats while Fever fans celebrated. TikTok videos mocked the promotion, with users joking that the Sky should have called it Mitchell Night after Kelsey's 35-point explosion. Let's check this out. Right here, of course, this is supposed to be the arena that Angel Reese built, right? Question mark? Caitlin Clark, right here. Signing autographs. Look at these fans. Are you kidding me? I mean, seriously. This person over here show us Barbie. God, yeah, not lined up for Barbie. In Barbie's own arena, glad to see Chicago giving Barbie a welcome to Sophie Cunningham. The absence of their star player made the whole celebration feel hollow. Fans showed up expecting to see Angel Reese dominate, but instead watched the Fever control every aspect of the game. The pink decorations became a backdrop for Indiana's dominance rather than Chicago's success. And let's be honest, with Reese or without Reese, it would still have been a blowout. Coach Tyler Marsh sounded defeated in his post-game comments, admitting that teams have figured out how to exploit Chicago's weaknesses. His frustration was obvious as he talked about players not executing the game plan and making the same mistakes repeatedly. I'm beginning to suspect the Indiana Fever are a better team than the Chicago Sky. Don't ask me why I believe that or think that. It's just a sneaking suspicion that I have. I mean, it could be the fact that the Fever spank them every time they play. Could be that. Maybe it's that. I mean, you can date back to last year, but this year, Fever spanked the Sky in the season opener. Rachel Bannum's post-game attitude perfectly captured the team's mood. She basically said the team had a screw-it mentality going into the game, which tells you everything about Chicago's confidence level. When your own players admit they're not mentally prepared, that's a serious problem. The ultimate embarrassment? Having your biggest promotional event completely hijacked by the visiting team. Fever fans outnumbered Sky supporters in several sections. Indiana players got louder cheers than Chicago's own roster. The atmosphere felt more like a Fever home game than a Sky celebration. Fans literally renamed the event on social media, and that nickname stuck throughout the night. Nothing stings more than watching your own promotion become someone else's victory party. The undeniable truth just emerged from Chicago's biggest night of embarrassment. The Indiana Fever aren't just beating the Sky. They're proving which franchise has a real future in this league. This wasn't just another win on the schedule. This was a statement about where both teams are headed over the next few years. Chicago keeps scheduling more games against Indiana at premium venues like the United Center. They keep throwing themed nights and special promotions. But the Fever keeps proving why that's a huge mistake. Every time these teams meet, Indiana walks away with another victory and Chicago gets reminded of the gap between them. Let's talk about what this 6-1 dominance over 2 seasons really means. The Fever are building something sustainable while the Sky keep hoping things will magically turn around. Indiana sits third in the Eastern Conference, just 2 games behind Atlanta. They're making real playoff noise with or without their best player on the court. Talked about the other day in New York, where it was 108 autographs that she signed. Well, today, signed over 200 autographs, was out for a long period of time, signing for fan after fan, so trying to make sure that she still is accessible to the fans here. It helps create memories for so many of them. It was Caitlin continuing to sign. Here's where it gets really interesting for Chicago fans. Caitlin Clark spent the entire game signing over 200 autographs for Sky supporters who came to see her play. She remained the center of attention even while sitting on the bench in street clothes. That tells you everything about star power and which player fans actually want to watch. Clark's presence gives her teammates incredible confidence even when she's not playing. The team is taking a careful approach to her return, making sure she gets adequate practice time to regain her rhythm and timing. But here's what makes this win so important. The Fever prove they're not just Caitlin Clark and 4 other players. Mitchell's 35 points, Timpson's career night, Bibby's perfect debut, and Boston's 3rd straight double-double, and Hull or Cunningham going off at any given night shows real depth. This team can compete with anyone when their rotation stays healthy and engaged. Compare that to Chicago's continued struggles. The Sky dropped to 7 wins, 18 losses. With this loss, their 5th straight defeat. Their playoff hopes are basically over, and their rebuild isn't showing much progress. That's what happens when you can't develop consistent chemistry or game plans. The exciting reality? When Clark returns healthy for the stretch run, this Fever team becomes even more dangerous heading into 2025. They've learned to win without her, built confidence in their depth, and proven they can handle pressure situations. Adding Clark back to this group creates something special that Chicago simply can't match right now. Caitlin Clark dominated the entire night without even stepping on the court. She spent 20 minutes before the game signing autographs for hundreds of Chicago fans, making her way around 2/3 of the United Center even as security tried to move her along. That's star power you can't fake. This win puts the Fever at 14 wins and 12 losses, sitting 3rd in the Eastern Conference, just 2 games behind Atlanta. They're building real playoff momentum without their best player. The team is taking extra care with Clark's return, making sure she gets proper practice time to regain her rhythm. When she comes back healthy, this confident Fever team becomes absolutely dangerous for the rest of 2025.